All right. Now let's compare Philippines and also America. So if you buy a house in America for around $200,000, you're going to be in a neighborhood of people who can afford $200,000. Okay, you're not going to be in a neighborhood that are millionaires. You're going to be in a $200,000 neighborhood. That's what they could afford. Now, if you go to the Philippines and you buy a house and you move into a $200,000 US dollars, okay, $200,000 house in that neighborhood, your neighborhood will be the same thing too. They're not going to be millionaires, but they could afford a $200,000 home. So your neighbors will be in that economy level in the Philippines, and then in America will be the same level of economy. Okay, so whatever you buy, the house is the neighborhood that you're actually buying. You could buy a house in Iowa for $200,000, for example. That same house, if you actually can carry it and bring it to Beverly Hills, California, now that same house is going to be worth 5-10 million. You see what I'm saying? It's the same house, but because you put it in a different neighborhood, a rich neighborhood, then it's going to be worth more. So basically, when you're buying a house, you're actually buying the affordability of your neighbors, what they can afford. Now, is it really important to know what kind of neighborhood you're going to be in? Well, yes. If you're the richest guy in that neighborhood, they're all in low income, things can happen to you. You're not going to be safe. You want to be in the same level as your level with their level. You guys have to be the same. You guys got to match. Like for me, for example, here in California, my income matches with my neighbor's income. We're pretty much almost the same. You're not gonna find me, okay, with my income that I make right now, you're not gonna find me in a rough neighborhood, low income neighborhood. Why? Because it's not gonna be safe for me. That's the same thing. Whether you buy it in the Philippines or in America, it don't matter. You're buying the neighborhood. Okay, electricity. America and Philippines, or actually California and Philippines, they're about 30 cents per kilowatt. So they're about the same. Water, California charges $1 per cubic meter. In the Philippines, they charge 57 cents per cubic meter. You're going to say, well, it's cheaper in the Philippines. Well, no. The one in the Philippines, you can't drink. The one in California, you can drink. You can actually bottle it and then drink it. Okay, now let's talk about gas, cooking gas. In the Philippines, I couldn't really get a good price because if the 5-pound tank costs a certain price and they don't fill it up all the way, okay, they do that in the Philippines. Sometimes it's full, sometimes it's not. Then I couldn't get a real price. Here in America, or here in California at least, if you get a 5-pound tank for gas, it's actually 5 pounds. In the Philippines, maybe you'll get 3 pounds, maybe 4 pounds. So I'm gonna have to assume both gases are the same. I can't see why it should be a different price. Of course, you're gonna need gas for your car. In America or in California, it's $4.50. Right now, actually, it's $4.75. In the Philippines, it's gonna be the same thing. $4.50 or $4.75, it's the same price. Now, when you buy a car in the Philippines, it costs more. If you buy a Camry here in California, and the same Camry in the Philippines is gonna cost you more. How much more? About 10 to 20 grand more dollars. Groceries, of course, we're going to compare, a grocery store to a grocery store. Whatever you spent at Vaughn's here, or Ralph's, or Albertson here in California, you're going to find it that when you go to the Philippines, the actual market is going to be the same price or a little bit more. Okay, we're not going to compare the wet market. That's different. We'll discuss that later. Electronics. The electronics, hands down, in the Philippines cost more. Okay, everything costs more than electronics. Everything's imported. They don't make their own electronics. You get one of those SD cards, you'll spend like $40 in the Philippines, and it's not even working. Here, you spend $40, it works. So yeah, over there in the Philippines, the electronics cost more. Fast food, okay, we're living in time now that we buy stuff from fast food. You buy something in McDonald's for $10 for yourself. You go to the Philippines, it's gonna cost you the same $10, okay? But it's a smaller portion.